Hey guys! Today we're going to be discussing The House of Hades, the fourth book in the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. I finished this book a couple hours ago on the drive back from Tennessee, and I was just overwhelmed with how much I love this book. This is by far my favorite book of the series so far, and I can't wait to jump into The Blood of Olympus. One of the things that irritated me with the first three books was the fact that I hated reading for Piper's point of view. In this book, I'm happy to say that that wasn't an issue. I loved everybody's points of view. I did want more of Annabeth and Percy, but overall I loved the book so much. That's all I can really say without spoiling you for the book, so if you haven't read The House of Hades, please go read it and come back to discuss this book with us. This book starts off a little rocky. Everyone on the quest, with the exception of Percy and Annabeth, because they fell into Tartarus last book, are being attacked by mountain gods or rock gods or whatever you want to really call them. I don't know, but they're chucking rocks at the ship. And once they get out of range of these rock-throwing gods, they run into Hecate, or Hazel does at least. Hecate apparently saw the magic in her mother and sees that Hazel has even more potential, that she can control the mist. She gives her a bunch of options to choose from that are really not that great, and she really has no choice but to choose the hardest one. My overall thoughts about Hecate is I think she can be very helpful, but she'd be one to just basically, like all the gods, sit back and watch what's going to happen until the last minute and then help. And I also think she'd be very backstabby, that you can't really trust her no matter what she says. There is like a 80% possibility that she will do the exact opposite. So I'm not really loving her character, but I don't hate her like I do Hera. But going back to Percy and Annabeth falling into Tartarus, I know falling to the center of the earth would probably take a long time, but the fact that they didn't know if they've been falling for hours or days, it made me wonder how long they had actually been falling in normal time. And Tartarus itself really surprised me. I wasn't really expecting it to look like it was being described. I opened up this map quite a few times to try to get a better picture and feel for what this place would look like, and it helped a lot, but I was still having a hard time imagining it until it got to the part where Percy made a comment on how it was looking like they were inside a body, and that made it a lot easier to picture and a lot more disturbing. And can I just say, the way it switched from Nico's gang's point of view, you know, Hazel, Leo, Frank, Piper, Jason, and Coach Hedge and all them, to Percy and Annabeth's point of view in Tartarus, I thought would be very, very annoying, but I followed it pretty well and I didn't get lost, which is something I rarely get to say about points of view that switch locations as much as this one did. One of my favorite parts about this book were the dwarf chimps. It was so funny seeing them aggravate Leo so much, and then to trap Jason right after pantsing Leo. I also love how Leo outsmarts them in the end. And Leo makes a deal with them that he won't tell this minor god that the dwarf chimps stole a book from him if they go and cause mayhem for the Roman soldiers that are making their way to Camp Half-Blood. And I love the fact that later on we actually get to know exactly what they're doing to the Romans. I'm kind of loving these dwarf chimps, and I hope they come in The Blood of Olympus. I doubt they will because they're not that important, but if they do, I'll be very happy. A character that I did not expect to see again is Bob the Titan. I can't even remember his official Titan name because we've really known him as Bob. And I really liked Bob in this, and it was really scary him helping Annabeth and Percy when he was getting his memories back. We kind of see a bad part of Percy when Bob comes in, because we find out that Percy hasn't really even thought about him, and the only reason Bob even considers him a friend is because of Nico. And when you think about it, that even Percy admits that he hasn't given him a second thought, and even though Percy did have his memory wiped for a good 6 to 8 months, I mean, before and after that, he still did not think of Bob or Calypso or Nico really. And in this book, he realizes that, and he sees how bad that is, and he wants to do better. So I hope he does a lot better, starting with Nico. Then we have Frank's growth spurt. Can I just say that I am so happy that Frank finally got a growth spurt, because all this time I was picturing him as some kind of baby man, like the head of a 16-year-old in the gigantic body of a baby, and that just wasn't a good imagery. Just no. It was so freaky. I tried not to picture Frank while I was reading these books. Once he got all badass, it was a lot easier to picture him as a normal teenager and like, thank you, Mars, Aries, whatever you want to call him. And then I really was proud of him when he became a praetor. Truthfully, in real life, I don't think it ever would have happened because, you know, not a lot of people see Frank as a leader, but the way he acted when they were being attacked by all those monsters, he just took charge, and I love that. He is praetor material. And I'm so happy Jason stepped down to give him that chance and to save their hides. Then we have Hazel's first time controlling the mist. It's after they've been attacked by this gigantic turtle who's being controlled by a son of Poseidon named Skyron. I don't really know how to say his name. So far there haven't been many sons of Poseidons that I've actually liked. Percy and Tyson are pretty much the only two that I've liked. And I guess Frank's not really a son of Poseidon, but he's a descendant of Poseidon, so I'm gonna count him in this as well. I like Frank. The rest of them have been very disappointing. And Skreon kind of takes the cake. I mean, he uses a giant turtle to kill his victims. And I love how the first time Hazel is using the mist, she makes Skreon see what he wants to see and ends up saving all of them, while giving Skreon a one-way trip back to Tartarus via his giant turtle. Then we have Annabeth and Percy's fight with the Arii. I don't know how to say their names. So many difficult names in these books. Their fight with the hag ladies, that if you destroy them, they cause you pain that has been cursed upon you. But I was very afraid at this point because a lot was happening and Percy and Annabeth were really outnumbered, and the more they were killing them, the more they were hurting themselves. And Bob wasn't helping at this point because he really didn't know whether he trusted Percy or not after he learns the truth of what Percy did to him. And it was just a mess. I was having a serious panic attack when this all was going down. Especially when Annabeth went blind and Calypso apparently put a curse on her. I really couldn't imagine Calypso cursing anybody because she was so sweet and helpful. But you know, after dealing with heartbreak over and over again for thousands of years, you can only take so much. And I think that Calypso curse was what pushed it over the edge for Percy, and he realized what he had done wrong to Bob and Nico and Calypso, and he apologizes to Bob, and Bob to the rescue, thank goodness. Because it's like, oh my god, they would have died otherwise, and it's like, that cannot happen. So jumping from that, Annabeth had the idea that they could write with Riptide if they, instead of capping the sword like this, capped it like this, and they could write with it like a regular pen. She turns out to be right, which is completely awesome. Now, Riptide is not only a sword, it's a pen as well. The pen is mightier than the sword, people. Believe it. But she uses Hermes' altar, which I don't understand why that's in Tartarus. I really don't, but let's just go with it. She uses that to send a message to Camp Half-Blood, namely Rachel. And Rachel and Grover go meet the Romans to deliver the message to Raina. And thank goodness Raina believes Annabeth and goes against Roman law to the ancient land to pick up the Athena statue. Sadly, this leaves Octavian in charge, and even though she says wait for her before going into battle, it's Octavian. He's not going to follow that order. He's in charge, and he's going to get as much bloodshed as he can. Then we get to my favorite part in the whole book, and that is when Nico and Jason go to get that old dead guy's scepter. I cannot pronounce his name, but they go to get his scepter and leave a note for Raina that they're going to be going to Epirus, whatever. They're going to Greece, and to get the scepter, Nico is forced to admit that he had a crush on Percy. I will admit that I squealed like a fangirl. Oh my god, I mean, I knew Nico was gay. I got spoiled for that somewhere down the line, I can't remember. But I never knew how it was revealed. I didn't know what book it was revealed in. And I just couldn't help it. I also have a feeling that Nico and Jason are going to get a lot closer now because they share this secret. Not as in, well, I'm not going to say he won't get a crush on Jason, but I know nothing is going to happen there. But I can see them being very, very good friends. And I have a feeling that Nico still has a crush on Percy the way he's acting, and I hope that gets settled soon because I know that's never going to happen. And Nico just deserves so much more than that. And I do know who he ends up with, and I approve 100%. But I can't wait for it to happen, and I hope there's a lot. I could just read a whole book series of Nico. Can that please be a thing, Rick Riordan? Please, just like maybe just a whole book of just Nico, please. Just one book. That's all I'm asking. Maybe just a small book, like novellas, maybe. Please, I'll take anything at this point. Okay. Back to the discussion. No more fangirling. Then we get to the only 4 chapters that are actually in Piper's point of view, which is the fight with Cal, Aethys, and Kahoni. Hope I'm saying those names right. I just find it amazing how Piper uses her charm speak to wake up Festus. It was very unexpected in a good way because he's a machine. You wouldn't think charm speak would work on a machine, but I guess it's the motion behind the charm speak. Even though I still don't see how that'd reach a machine, it was still awesome. I can say that I was really proud of Piper in this moment. I mean, she really stepped up and proved that she deserves to be one of the 7 of the prophecy. Then we have Leo crash landing on Calypso's island. And I don't know why I said that so creepily, but I loved it so much. Just Calypso's reaction to him crash landing on the island was hilarious. The girl clenched her fist. Leo was pretty sure she was going to march down the crater and punch him in the face. Instead, she looked up at the sky. Really? You want to make my curse even worse? Zeus, Hephaestus, Hermes? Have you no shame? I doubt they're listening. You know, the whole split personality thing? Show yourself! It's not bad enough I am exiled. It's not bad enough you take away a few good heroes I'm allowed to meet. You think it's funny to send me this charbroiled runt of a boy to ruin my tranquility? This is not funny. Take him back. Hey Sunshine, I'm right here, you know. So Calypso's changed a lot since the last time we met her. Apparently, she's become a lot more violent and angry. So I think Leo will be very good for her, and I can't wait to see how this relationship is going to work out. And I found it so cute how they end up falling for each other, and they're trying to find a way to get Leo off this island so he can help. And Calypso falls for him, and a raft appears, and Leo realizes that he was looking forward to another week with her. And it's so cute, he promises to come back. He swears it on the river Styx, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be the part of the prophecy where an oath to keep the final breath. Then we are back in the underworld with Annabeth and Percy, and Annabeth has been talking her way out of so many dangerous situations that they could not fight their way out of. And she ends up getting past Night and all of her children. Once they get through the Mansion of Night, they find the Doors of Death and a horde of monsters. But thank God the monsters can't sense or see them thanks to the death mist. And also thankfully Bob shows up again to help them out of this situation. And I kind of find it weird that the Doors of Death look like the elevator doors to Olympus. And I guess simultaneous of them finding the Doors of Death, Nico leads the gang through the House of Hades. Hazel and Leo find the Doors of Death while the others are in another chamber fighting a horde of monsters. I kind of expected it to take them longer to get through the House of Hades. It seemed like it only took them like a couple hours at most. I was kind of looking forward to it taking up most of the book. Then we get to closing the Doors of Death. Both doors have been chained down so they can't move. So the only way to get the Doors of Death away from Gaia's control is to break the chains. Percy and Annabeth do this, but they have to go up through the elevator, and the only way to do that is for someone to actually be holding the up button for 12 minutes. And for someone on the other side to press the up button after the 12 minutes. After that, if no one presses the button, poof, who knows what happens to them. But Bob and the giant Demason sacrifice themselves and fight Tartarus while Percy and Annabeth are making their escape. And on the other side of the doors, Hazel and Leo are fighting Pasiphae? I don't know how to say these names, they are so weird. and another giant, Clarus. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing these names wrong. I mean, they're so difficult to say, at least for me. But Hazel ends up using the mist to outsmart Josephine, or whatever her name is, and ends up trapping her in her own labyrinth. So we don't know what happens to her after that, but she's no longer a problem. Then Hecate shows up to help fight the giants. And can I just say that it's awesome how Leo just throws his screwdriver and it hits the up button dead on right as Annabeth and Percy get to the top of the elevator. One problem with that is, though, they're unconscious when they come out. So Leo and Hazel are still on their own fighting these giants. And Leo can't do nothing because his firepower is not enough. Hecate's firepower is enough, but she's not going to do anything until Hazel breaks down the giants enough that all Hecate has to do is set them on fire and it's over and done with. So basically like Dionysus, the demigods do all the fighting and the gods just land the final blow. The rest of the gang show up. Apparently Frank had one of his dead relatives lead them to the doors of death. And they help Hazel take down the giant, with Hecate dealing the final blow, setting him on fire. The really bad news is, all the giants that they have defeated up to this point are back in the mortal world, so they have to fight all those giants again. But something interesting we found out is we weren't sure if Hazel could shadow travel or not, because we didn't know if that was like a child of Hades thing, like the children of Pluto can sense treasures underground and control them. But apparently Hazel can shadow travel, and she helps Nico get all of them out of the House of Hades back outside to where the Argo 2 is, where they find Raina waiting for them. So the book ends with Nico volunteering to shadow travel the Athena statue, Raina, and Hedge all the way to Long Island. This is very worrisome because he'll have to shadow travel like only about a few hundred miles at a time, and he's going to be very, very exhausted and weak afterwards. So Raina and Hedge are going to have to take up guarding him until he can shadow travel again. Though I am very happy about this because this means that Nico will meet a certain someone very soon. And then the 7 from the prophecy are off, which shouldn't take them long, but they were only like 2 or 3 days out of Rome, and that ended up like being an 18-day trip apparently. So yeah, time-wise, who knows how much time they will actually have. I think my favorite moment out of this book, I actually have like 2 favorite moments. I love the whole encounter with Cupid and how Nico has to confess his feelings, but I also loved Leo's time on Calypso's island. So those are my like top 2 favorite moments of this book. If I had to choose between those 2, I would definitely choose Nico confessing his feelings to Cupid because I just love Nico so much. But really, this book, 5 out of 5 stars all the way. I loved it so much. It is definitely my favorite book of the series. You guys should let me know in the comments below what your favorite moment of the book was. I mean, like Mark of Athena, the whole book was a favorite moment, really. But there is always just that one moment that pops for you. And I want to know what that moment was. Well, that is it for this discussion video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!